Hello, ladies and gents! I originally did plan to have another review for Friday, but then suddenly I could get my hands on a test account for this beauty right here. As you might have already did hear, we will soon have a brand new Tier 7 German premium heavy tank, the VK4503. Now there are only very few premium heavies at this tier currently available, so the VK might be actually of interest to a lot of you. Question is, should you get it though? Well, this thing has very specific strengths and weaknesses, so I hope this little review will help you to decide just that. As usual, at the end of the video you will also have an Ace Tanker gameplay that I just had in it a few days ago. If you are all for the action, just skip right ahead with the timestamp in the description. And as for the rest of us, let's have a very quick look at the history of the real-life VK4503. Well, this would be the historical part anyway, but this heavy tank is unfortunately one of those that only ever existed in blueprints. Well, sort of. The design was made back in 1942 by Henschel, originally designated Tiger III, as one of two proposals for an upgrade to the Tiger. It never got further than the drawing board, however, at least not in its original form. Based on the information found on the For the Record blog, the Tiger II was born from the strengthened version of the Henschel hull and the turret from the design made by the manufacturer Porsche. But enough of the history lessons. I'm sure you are more interested in the stats and how this thing compares to both its premium and regular counterparts at Tier 7. Probably it's best if we jump right in the middle and have a look at that 88mm gun. That's right. The VK4503 uses the good old L71 version of the well-known German 88mm tank gun. This is the same boomstick that you have as the stock gun on the Tiger II, the top gun on the regular Tiger, or what you have on the Tier 8 Premium Medium, the Panther 88. Now this of course means that you will have the well-known 203mm of average penetration with your standard AP shells and 240 average damage. APCR, by the way, has only 237mm of pen, so that's not a great improvement for the cost. Now, this is quite alright so far. There is a twist, however. The rate of fire on this version of the gun has been cut back noticeably to below 8 rounds a minute, seriously limiting your DPM. In fact, you have one of the lowest DPMs in your tier both among premiums and among regular heavy tanks as well. Where this gets compensated in the end is the gun handling, that's actually quite awesome. Both shell velocity and ammo capacity are very good and basically equivalent with the Tiger stats. Aim time with 2.1 seconds and accuracy with a great 0.32 meters are on the other hand simply brilliant and also best in class. You even get an extra degree of gun depression compared to the Tiger, bringing it to 8 degrees in total. And that's of course most welcome as well. Moving on straight to the health and armor, you have slightly less hit points at 1400 than a lot of your competition. The real drawback, however, is with the armor. On paper, if you compare it, it looks rather alright actually. It's even angled quite well, unlike the boxy nature of the Tiger's hull. In reality though, you really can't stand the heat, and even lower tier tanks will go through your armor with relative ease. Let's see why. Starting with the hull, from the front the toughest part is actually the lower plates with 180mm of effective armor, so don't shoot it here if you see one of these. Especially as the whole upper plate is basically a giant weak spot with only 130mm of effective armor even with all that angling. You have to over-angle it extremely for it to be able to bounce anything reliably, which of course will totally expose your sides unless you are poking out from a corner. The turret, which is very similar to the stock Tiger II turret by the way, is one giant weak spot as well, I'm afraid. The gun mantlet is tough, but it's very small, and all around the gun already 100 to 120mm of penetration will suffice to go through your armor. Your cupola is an attractive target as well, which a lot of people will go for routinely. Problem is that while it's not a huge target, unlike on the stock Tiger II turret, the roof on this occasion is paper thin, with a mere 40mm of effective armor, which results in the missed shots that would normally just ricochet off, now completely overmatching your turret top. Both your sides and rear have 80mm of slightly angled armor, which is not too bad, and side scraping is still very much viable, but you have to do it well to work. There is no spaced armor on your sides. And, as another bonus, your turret will still be open for shots when you pop out to take your shot. Overall, basically just expect to get panned by most opponents, and a lot of the same tier crowd will send you back to the garage with 4, maximum 5 shots. You really don't want to be trading damage in this thing. Well, that was a little disappointing for a heavy tank, but then again the Tiger isn't exactly famous for its durability either. Let's move on instead to the mobility, which is a bit of a mixed bag. Now let's get it straight right in the beginning. While you are not really a frontline hero by armor, you are definitely a heavy tank by mobility. The 38 km/h top speed is kinda nice, and you do have some really great terrain resistances as well, but the power to weight ratio completely sucks with below 11 horsepower per ton. This is actually worse than what you have on the Porsche Tiger, aka the Tiger P, and that one isn't exactly a ballerina either. On the other hand, hull traverse with 28 degrees per second is about average, while the turret traverse with about 23 degrees is quite sluggish, but at least it's not as terrible as on the Tiger. And finally, for the rest, camo values are expected to be heavy tank-like, so no surprises here. View range at 380 meters is quite good, though not exceptional, and radio range is alright as well with 650-ish range. As for crew skills and equipment-wise, I really suggest to use gun rammer and vents. And as for the third option, I did actually go for optics, as a gun laying drive is not really needed, and together with the crew skills and vents, I was able to max out my view range, which is quite important for this kind of support tank. Crew skill-wise, I would probably start with 610, snapshot, smooth ride, situational awareness and wet stowage, followed by brothers in arms. The usual heavy tank standard repairs is less important with this tank, as optimally you won't engage the enemy face to face, so it can be left mostly for the third set in my opinion. Oh, and by the way, I did run as well chocolate instead of a fire extinguisher because of the exact same reasons. So, just to recap, what do we have then? Well, let's see. Preppy armor, check. Heavy tank-like mobility, check. And a low DPM but very accurate gun, check. It really isn't a big mystery then that this machine is really in its element as a support vehicle, best used at medium to long ranges. This will be the biggest factor I think for most people. If you enjoy this playstyle, this machine is actually quite good at it. But if you want more in your face action, well, you really won't find it here, I'm afraid. Now, of course, you will also have the usual benefits of the higher tier premium machine. Being at tier 7, it's already a really decent credit earner and crew trainer, though you have to take a few things into consideration. Firstly, this thing has regular matchmaking, and even against tier 8 heavies you will have to resort to APCR quite a bit if you are forced into a long-range frontal support engagement. Also, just like with the Löwe at tier 8, this thing has a 5-man crew as well, so you still won't be able to train your tier 10 6-man heavy tank crews on one machine. Not convinced? Well, this kind of support playstyle is not necessarily my preferred choice either, but I would say this isn't actually a bad credit earner, as exactly due to its playstyle, I could get easily around 2000 damage per game even if the teams were less amazing. But I'm quite sure that it won't be everyone's cup of tea. But enough talk, let's take it out for a spin and see what we can snipe. Alright, so here we are in our VK4503 in a standard battle on the good old cliff map. Now matchmaking has been reasonably generous this time around. There are actually a lot of heavy tanks on the enemy team, and we have even more, so this will be a pretty heavy on heavy engagement. It's also a tier 7 maximum game, so even though I did pack a healthy dose of APCR, I will barely touch it this game, because standard AP shells with 203mm of penetration are plenty to go through even the fronts of those enemy heavies, if we use our accuracy and aim for weak spots. And that's something that this machine is really good at. Now, positioning at the beginning of the game. It's really important to remember that this machine does usually very badly in a head-on frontal engagement. It's low DPM, not really good armor. So what we will try to do in the beginning, go to about that house right in front of us, from where we can side scrape, probably also remain hidden with all these bushes around, and we'll try to put in some support fire for anything that tries to cross the ridge on the E line, shoot down anybody who tries to go up and take this pivotal position up there on the top of the hill, and we will even have some really nice shots if the IS and the KV-3 fails to hold the 1 and 2 lines. So this is not a bad position to be in for anything that tries to be a support. It seems that most of our heavies are trying to go around, which is not really perfect in distribution, but what can you do? The 1 and 2 lines do not look that healthy either, so we will definitely have to keep an eye on that. Sometimes, especially when there are a lot of heavies on the teams, you can expect a little bit of a push on that line as well. But T-34-100 should be able to spot them. So first target is here, T-29. We did manage to track him. And unfortunately a double track is all we're going to get, and he did disappear. He's back into cover now, so... And yeah, there is actually nobody who could benefit from this tracking, which is quite unfortunate. But what can you do? It seems that the two fronts will be on the 1 and 2 line, and around the hill where most of our force did go, completely leaving the middle open, so we have to be careful. Seems that the mid is quite empty as well, so I will try to sneak forward, see if I can get some shots in the backs of those heavies, and whoops, there is a Panther. And I try to angle, but he hits me frontally anyway. And the T-29 did also go up to position, and yeah, this was really stupid. And that angle I can't really pant him from below, and he did just take a really big chunk out of me, so... Yeah, this is not a good position. Look at that shot though. 0.33 meters dispersion as standard, which with all the cruise skills and vents and everything, I did manage to get down actually to 2.29. Yeah, you can really put that to some good work. So the Eastern Front is absolutely won. And now we shouldn't worry too much about the T-29 and the Panther if we remain in cover. The other side looks really ugly, however. Now I have really good view range as well. I did actually max it out. I have like 485 meters view range with chocolate and vents and cruise skills and everything. So I'm able to keep these guys spotted as well. However, I make quite a big mistake here, which is not reversing back into cover, so I will get actually spotted around here. And while we take away this Tiger Piece health, I'm spotted for the IS as well, and I really don't want to be shot from that guy. However, this is a shot we need to take. It's a good fire, but there is a shot from the IS. He left myself up there, up for grabs for way too long, so this is absolutely a mistake of mine, nothing to do with the machine. T-20 did burn for quite a bit, almost for 400 damage. And again, mistake, I'm still in the open, easily shot by the IS, so that's not a good decision. Taking out the T-20 though, unfortunately only tracked, but Tiger P takes him out. So taking out that guy was quite important, because that means now it's only the IS down there, and he hits our turret side again. 80mm of armor, big on this slightly angled surface. Yeah, I really should have been pulling back a long time ago. Now I'm a little bit stuck here. I really would like to push down to spot the IS. However, the T-29 can spot me and can kill me with one shot. And there is also still an enemy M44 in the game, so I really don't want to get spotted at this stage. With the T-29 dead, however, finally I can move into position and see if I can spot that guy. Come on, you little bugger, where are you? Tiger P is moving up as well, so at least we are not alone. And, ooh, SU 12244. Quick tracking shot, and he's out of the game. So, IS has been spotted, and we definitely have artillery's attention as well. Unfortunately, the 8 degrees of gun depression were not quite enough to fire from a hull-down position. Problem is, we really are not safe in a hull-down position with this thing. I was a lot of times thinking that I'm safe, and they kept penning me in the cupola. And actually, it turned out it's not the cupola, it's all the shots that missed the cupola and overmatched the top of the turret, so yeah. That's definitely something that you have to keep in mind for this machine. Look at that snipe. That was, by the way, 25 times 25 zoom. That's why the reticle was so big. But this machine is definitely really accurate. So, only a couple of enemies left. We still have the SU-12244 on the other side of the map, which will be one of the biggest dangers. T-25-2 on the other side, engaging the T-29, is a one-shot. So I'm thinking to go up there to the right at the edge and try to get some side shots on the T-25. SU is in cover, so I won't really have a shot into him at the moment. And taking out the T-25 should be priority anyway, so the others can get to the enemy base, and, well, no help needed there. We can, however, take a lovely shot at this M44. Unfortunately, not quite enough to kill him. Takes a shot. Ah, well, we didn't let it fully aim, and he's falling back down, so he's out of sight, but T-29 takes care of him. In the meantime, unfortunately, the SU did take out the Oni, so I'm a little bit afraid here. I really don't want to face that guy. I can't remember exactly, but I don't think he was a one-shot, and he can definitely sneeze me into oblivion, really. Tiger P is still on full health though, so he can definitely go ahead and spot that guy for us. And hopefully we can put one more shell into him. But never mind, Tiger P blasts him away, and we take this game down, no problem. So, this was then my ace tanker game in the VK4503. Once again, this was not really a spectacular game by any standard, but hopefully it did show you some of the strengths and weaknesses of this machine in action. Oh, and by the way, don't get overexcited about the gold, credit and experience amounts you can see in the corner. These are unique for this test account. I'm not this rich, I'm afraid. I wish. But back to the results. For this ace tanker and Confederate combo, we had to put down 2500 direct and close to 2000 assisted damage on the table, and sprinkle it with 2 dead tanks. Now all of this resulted in about 1300 base experience, which is quite alright. Big shout out, by the way, to our T-29 driver, who had a really great game as well. Finally, in these about 9 minutes, we fired exactly 20 shots, 17 of which hit, but only 10 of those penetrated. Remember though that a lot of those shots were going into the tracks of the enemy tanks, either intentionally or due to my bad aim, so this was more down to me rather than the gun. Also, all 4 shots received did damage us as well, and while I did not really do a good job of angling myself in this game, this is pretty much what you can expect in a lot of games. Right, this was then my quick look at the VK4503, the new Tier 7 German premium heavy tank. I truly hope that you found this little review useful, and if you did, Thanks a lot for considering giving it a like or sharing it. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Have a great gaming weekend, everyone. And I look forward to seeing you again next week.